Hey Flo here. Just out for an adventure. I don't know if that's the right word. Not really an adventure. I just went out for a bike ride and decided to stop here just to relax, really. And I've scouted out this spot before, so I knew there was something of a cell signal, so I figured I would try to do a live stream just for fun. It's going to be basically no content today, nothing planned. Just going to sit here for a while. I won't be able to sit here for super long because I got out really late, but I'll see what I feel like doing. I was kind of thinking just to sit here and write in my journal unless somebody shows up to chat or something. I actually wrote in my journal yesterday, so I'm not even sure I'll have a lot to write about. So maybe it won't be that long of a thing. We'll see. Sometimes when I get going, though, I can't stop. Or, I don't know. I don't think I'm in that kind of mood today, but you never know. I don't know what kind of mood I'm in today, actually. It's not a super flat area, so I'm not really sure about sitting here. Could dig out a flat spot or something, but anyway, I also brought my stuff that, oh shoot, as I was saying that, I just realized I forgot something. I brought stuff that I could draw with, and I could still do that, but I forgot my little jar of water that I would normally have to dip my brush in for that purpose. And there's no way I'm getting down to that water to get some water. It looks like it's not that far down there, and it isn't really, but there's like a sudden drop off of several feet right near the edge, so there's no way I could get down there. I do have drinking water, but since I don't have my jar, that's probably not going to work. So I probably won't draw. That's unfortunate. I keep forgetting that. I need to have a permanent jar of water always in my bike pouch, then it wouldn't be an issue. There's a can down there, but that would be hard to use. If it was a glass bottle or something, I could use it. Okay, this is too much of an angle for me to feel at ease, I think, but let's see here. I was thinking if there was a spot right there, I could put my feet up on the log, but there isn't really. It's very steep right there. Guess I don't need to talk out all my processes, my thinking. I tend to do that when I'm streaming. Historically, I've done that a lot, where I'm just talking out loud to keep the dead space, or to kill the dead space, but it's probably better just not to say anything, honestly. Oh, that would be interesting. Spend a bunch of time. I could probably build myself a footstool. That would be an interesting challenge, but it would take so long that it wouldn't be worth the time it would take. If I was extremely disciplined, like a kung fu master, I could just take one single stick and balance my foot on it so perfectly that I wouldn't need more than one. And that kind of works, except that my chair is falling over. Ugh. Might have to dig that out. just so I can have a flat spot. That's better. I also thought, or whatever, realized I could say some stuff. I wonder if this looks good. I might be like out of the frame almost or something. I can't tell where it cuts off. Let me check. Just so I know. Peace of mind. Oh, it's pretty close. Once upon a time, I know it's hard to imagine, I thought about having a streaming channel where I don't actually say anything, just go places and sit. Mainly because when I first started streaming, I thought, what in the world am I going to talk about? I don't know what to say. And then every once in a while, since then, years later, I think, I should have done that. But it's too late to go back and... I mean, I could start doing that, but it would be weird. I wonder if I could actually make this work as a footstool. But yeah, one thing I could talk about, I don't really know what to say about it, but I'm done with the Bible project. I think I believe this is my first live stream since I finished that. And thought about just not really streaming after that. Then yeah, I was out yesterday, so it's not necessarily an addiction, but you start looking at everything you do. I hate to say this, but there's that word that everybody uses that I hate. But you start thinking of everything in the form of content, like, oh, I could stream that. Not because in my case, not because I'm trying to build a channel or great following or success or anything, but I still use that word just because that's the accepted word for it. Just anything that you do online is called content, but I kind of hate that word because it sounds so impersonal and algorithm based, and it just doesn't, I don't like it, but I don't really have a better word for it. anyway. So like as I'm out doing things just normally without live streaming, I tend to think, oh, that's a cool shot. I could live stream that, or whatever. Even if it's not that interesting, I still think that way. And so I was thinking that the last few days I was out in a park juggling my soccer ball and thought, oh, I could live stream that. And I went on a bike ride yesterday. Let's see, where did I go yesterday? Oh yeah, I was down at the river and I was actually in a spot that had a adequate signal, so I could have live streamed it, but I didn't have my battery and normal streaming gear with me, so I didn't. But I thought, you know what, I could, like, I knew I wanted to go on a bike ride today or a hike or something, and as I was getting ready, I just said, I guess I'll just throw my stuff in. I don't know if I really want to do it or not, but one of the things is when I'm out here like this, sometimes I get kind of lonely a little bit, or just wish I could have gone out with somebody. Like I wish I had more friends that I could go on rides and hikes with and stuff like that. But since I don't, that's one benefit of live streaming, is it's kind of a way to share the experience with somebody. Whether they come by or not, I don't know, but it feels like I'm sharing it with somebody, even if there's nobody there to see it. I feel like I'm talking to somebody, you know? And so that's part of the attraction to live streaming for me, is just, I want to hang out with somebody. Like, and I've talked about this multiple times. I actually just wrote about it in my journal again. How lame it is that old people don't get to do cool stuff. Old people don't get to hang out. Like I have super fond memories of back in the college years, like when you're in your 20s, and obviously when you're in your teens as well, but that whole span of time for like a decade or maybe two decades if you're lucky, you get to just hang out with your friends, or maybe not even your friends, just people that you meet, because it comes natural. You just you end up with people that maybe aren't your friends, but they could become your friends, or you just enjoy the time that you hang out because you have friends of friends. Your friends have friends and they invite you along, and if you're socially inclined enough, you go along and just enjoy the time. That stuff doesn't happen when you're an adult. It never happens, pretty much. There's exceptions, but it's pretty rare. And so you just no longer, you're just shut off from the social world. You become like I don't know what it is, but it's just, there's no opportunities. It's lame. I don't like it. But some people who are super outgoing make their own opportunities, and I understand that. But when you're just kind of a normal, not so outgoing person, it's pretty hard to make it happen. And in my case, since I moved away from where my friends live, like back in the old days, or even, today, these days, I could still make things happen if I lived where my friends live. But since I moved away, I can't just call somebody up and say, hey, want to hang out? Because I don't know anybody well enough around here to do that. There's people that I would like to do that with. There's people that I like, people that I would hang out with. But for some reason, when you're older, it's weird to ask people to hang out. It's considered strange, I think. I don't know why. Or it's just harder to make it happen. Everybody's busy. They're either working or have kids and they can't get away, or something like that. So it's really hard to facilitate Or people just have schedules. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do something. And they say, when do you want to get together? And it's like, how about right now? And they're like, but, so it's got to be a planned event that you put on the calendar, and it's just, and I've actually tried that a couple times with people that I know are around here, and it just doesn't end up happening. Even if you try to schedule it in, then it's just like, why even bother? I don't know. People aren't spontaneous when they have on, or they can't be spontaneous. I am very spontaneous, so I don't have anything going on most of the time. Anyway, because I can't find people like that without being weird or awkward and asking people when they're maybe not wanting to get involved, I just have to do the live streaming thing as my only alternative. And I definitely could be just as happy to be out here by myself and not bring a camera, and I do that more often than you would possibly know because I don't stream that stuff. Like I was out yesterday. I was out 2 days consecutively prior to that, so 3 days in a row where I didn't do anything like this. And I try to actually get out almost every day. For a while I was getting out every day. It was kind of a discipline, and I had such a long streak. I know it was over 40 days in a row, but I want to say it might have been 2 whole months in a row. I can't remember. But it was becoming a long streak, and I wanted to keep the streak going. So every single day I would either go on a walk or a bike ride somewhere just to keep the streak going. I broke that eventually. I decided it probably wasn't maintainable, or I don't know. I have this kind of, I don't think I'm a particularly wise person, but I have this wisdom that speaks to me, like kind of your conscience or just common sense, I guess, when you start realizing, this doesn't seem quite right, or, I should do this or whatever. And so I was thinking, eventually I can't do this forever. I can't go every day. And so eventually I'll break the streak, and it would probably be more balanced and wise to just go out as often as I can, but if I miss a day, not get too upset about it or anything like that. And so I kind of let myself a little bit of slack or whatever, gave myself some slack and just took a day off here and there. The thing I was somewhat afraid of before I took some days off was I feared, I don't know, fear isn't the right word, but I was concerned that if I took one day off, then I would feel like I could just take every day off and then stop doing it altogether. That's a very common thing to do. I think we've all been there, where you get in a healthy habit and you know that if you break that cycle or habit, you're just gonna get lazy. It's cool. I'm gonna interrupt myself because I wish I could show it on the camera without going over there and zooming in massively, but there's this kind of flock of, I think they're mourning doves. They look like doves to me. I didn't know they congregated like that, but there's I can see at least 4 of them together. Might be kind of a family of sorts, I don't know. Anyway, I've not seen that before. Definitely a general congregation over there. I knew I would forget what I was saying if I interrupted myself, but that's okay. One of the things, I guess I could talk about this. I haven't written about this in my journal yet because it's a fairly recent observation, I guess. I think I've thought this before, for sure, but not to the level that I did a couple days ago, whenever it came to mind. I've started realizing that I don't want to be the old guy that no young person can relate to. And that happens every generation. There's just a generation gap, and people treat you differently because you're old. And they just assume that you have a certain perspective or can't relate to what they're going through or whatever. Or they very well know that there's an actual cultural shift going on, just like both old people and young people can observe quite easily. It's easy to perceive such things. And there is a huge gap or shift that happened between like the boomers and the Gen Xers and I feel like the boomers and Gen Xers can relate to each other pretty well. They're only one generation apart, but they're also kind of in the same epoch or epoch, I don't know how to say that word, E-P-O-C-H. They're in the same era of human existence and culture and stuff. But then things really changed for some reason, like right after that. At least that's my perception, I could be wrong. I feel like there was a bigger shift after that than there was in prior generations. There's always some kind of shift between generations, but there was something wildly large that happened during that time. I guess the millennials and the Gen Z and all that. Those people, something happened between the Gen X and everything after. Or around that time. I don't know the generations that well. I don't even know what follows Gen X. But might be the millennials. Anyway, there's definitely a big difference between the kids these days and their parents, I suppose. Certainly their grandparents. Anyway, the thing that's bothersome to me is when that perceived cultural shift or generation gap gets so extreme that people can't communicate anymore, or they avoid dialogue between the age groups. I find that bothersome. But at the same time, it is a challenge to try to bridge that gap through mutual understanding and context when there's such a big difference. But anyway, the thing that actually, that's nothing new. The thing that was actually kind of a realization a few days ago is that I think live streaming helped me bridge that gap a little bit. I say that past tense because I don't know if I'm really live streaming anymore. I'm certainly not in it as much as I was. But the reason, I remember exactly why that came to mind. I should write about this in my journal. I hang out with this group of people every week. I go to a volleyball thing. And somebody there mentioned they said something like, it was one of the older people, they said, what did they say? How did they put it? Let me see if I can remember. Oh, they said something like, you young people would call this rage baiting or trolling, and then, some people smiled, whatever. And then I realized, oh yeah, I know all about that stuff because I'm in the streaming world, which that stuff comes up constantly. I mean, you just know what those terms mean and how. I don't even feel like that's, a young person's term because I'm part of that group, I guess. Like, I know all about trolling and rage bait and all that stuff. That's just kind of a cultural thing that's going on, whether you're young or old, I guess. Maybe the trolling thing is slightly younger, but the rage bait is basically social media for anybody. And mainstream news, all of that is rage bait. That's entirely what it is. So everybody knows about that, I think. Anyway, the realization that I had after hearing that just two-phrase conversation is that I kind of like that I have some ability to understand that stuff because I've been part of the live streaming community, which is heavily weighted toward a younger crowd. Huh, I just saw a bird eat an insect. I don't see that very often. Anyway, so part of me kind of wants to stay connected in that way just so that I don't lose my ability to understand what people are talking about. But at the same time, no offense, but I find it incredibly cringe too. Like, I have a really hard time watching most of the young people content stuff. Like, I almost can't tolerate it at all. Like, if you just as an example, if you just open up kick.com and see what's on the homepage, I literally click away within less than a second because I just don't even want to see what's going on. It's too annoying to me. That's almost invariably the case when I see what's on the homepage of Kick. I just click away so fast. It's like, get me out of here. It's because it's so cringe to me. So in that way, I probably won't ever be able to bridge the gap fully because people will just see, oh, you just don't get it. That's cool, man. That's what the young people are doing these days or whatever. It's like, oh, really? I hope not. It's so annoying. Maybe that's what the streaming world people are doing, but I seriously doubt just everybody out there in the world, not part of the streaming community, is just going around watching people do weird stuff. I don't know, it seems like a waste of time. So yeah, in that way people would think, oh yeah, you can't relate at all, you're completely disconnected. And that's true. I don't really want to be that connected. But I think just being part of the streaming world in general, there's some cultural transferal that goes on. I don't know if that's a word, transference, just transfer, cultural transfer that happens, understanding. And I guess I've enjoyed that aspect of my years in the streaming community. Some of it's so cringe, or I find it actually offensive because I'm a Christian, and so I can't just watch, people doing ungodly things, treating each other like objects and, things like that. I just can't watch that. I find it trashy. It's kind of like watching soap operas, or it's actually worse than soap operas. But it's just like meaningless, fake, garbage, surfacey relationship stuff that brings out the worst in humanity. I can't watch that stuff, but some of the just funny stuff, I can watch that. But even that, I have my limits because of the cultural gap. It's just like, okay, SpongeBob, I get it. I was around when that was happening, but K-pop and, anime and certain cultural shifts, I'm not really into those things, and so I don't really get it, I guess. Or I just don't appreciate it, I suppose. And I don't even know what the latest things are. What young people are into these days. The whole 6-7 thing, and all the whatever random expressions that come and go. I don't really care to try to stay on top of all that. Kind of funny though, as long as everybody survives, like they don't get in some unknown accident or just can't tolerate life, everybody gets old. Everybody gets irrelevant. And the things that I'm talking about, in some fashion, you'll go through them too when you get my age. So that's the funny thing about, generation gaps. They become less important when you get older because people start realizing, oh, I'm also not cool anymore, or the latest, hottest thing. So now I have to figure out what it looks like to be just a regular old person with a job and a family and whatever else. Life's painful difficulties and sorrows and griefs, along with joys. Sometimes. So there's my spiel. I guess that's something I've been thinking about. I could write about that maybe. I was sort of wondering, what would I write about? Because I think I wrote about, 17 pages or so yesterday, or between last 2 days. And it was really the same day, but it was like I was up at 2 or 3 a.m. or 1 a.m. and this was up till like 4, writing from Thursday to Friday, which technically was Friday, and then I wrote again Friday, which was yesterday. So all in all, I think I have about 17 pages. But I just started this new little journal. So a page is not as much as it sounds like, though I do tend to write small. Actually, the smaller the book is, the smaller I write. Because it's kind of annoying when you are writing a sentence and you'll only get like 2 words by the end of the line. You're like, I have to hyphenate every word or it's going to be like one word per line. So then, in that case, I tend to write smaller to compensate so I can at least have phrases per line instead of 1 word per line. So I brought this. I guess if I was into all marketing and trying to push products and stuff, which I'm not, but I did do a little short video on my channel on this Mitsubishi Uni watercolor set. It's actually pretty cool. And lately I've been bringing it along with me just in case I'm in the mood to draw something, but I haven't actually used it yet since I've been bringing it with me. I would have probably, or at least possibly today, and I almost did yesterday, but I kind of ran out of time. I think the same thing's going to happen today where I'm just like, it's time to go. Plus I didn't bring my jar of water anyway. Let's do some writing, I think. Let's see, what is today? Yeah, it's almost 6 already. It's crazy. Saturday, July 18th. Where's that guy? Up there in the tree somewhere. Oh, there he is. It's a chipmunk. Is that you, Dale? Are you lurking in my channel? Yep, that's definitely Dale. He's a very loud one. Sure, I'd get a laugh out of him if he was here. I bet I could make a pretty nice or effective footstool just with 3 sticks, some kind of tripodish thing. I'm not sure how easy that would be, but I'm surprised this one hasn't broken yet. It's not that strong, but it's been surviving so far. Oh, I might have to dig these holes deeper because I'm kind of tilting still. piece of string, I could definitely make this work. I don't think these sticks are strong enough. Yeah, I would need a bigger stack, I think. Best thing would be to have the log as my footstool. Quite stable in that direction. Pushing that way. Just needs some reinforcement on the other side. Easier said than done. If I had a string go all around that, it'd probably work just great. Pine needles are too brittle. Could probably make something out of grass if I was like really dedicated and had like 6 hours. But alas, ain't nobody got time for that. I might have a bungee cord in my bike though. Sometimes have one, but I don't think I have one today. Completely ridiculous. There's not even anywhere to put my feet anyway. And I need to dig to China in order to get this to sit flat. Hello down there, Jackie Chan. Come on. There, teach me some wushu. Oops, just made a huge mess. Yeah, this footstool is completely useless. But hey, I made something. I made something completely useless. The sun's gonna be down behind the trees here in a minute. It seems early for that. I'm surprised it's down that low already. It's probably, I don't keep track of that stuff, but I'm assuming we've already hit the longest day of the year. So it's probably getting shorter already. This is really close to being self-sustaining, stable stuff, but it's not quite there. I think I'm gonna give up on it. It's just a distraction. It's not stable in the right direction that needs to be. even though being out here in nature is kind of the ideal place to do journaling in many respects. There's no, I almost said there's no distractions, but that's the problem. I started out the sentence even though, but it's kind of distracting just to see the cool stuff. I find that every place has its own distractions. At home, I can't seem to journal very effectively most of the time because there's so much stuff around me, my normal everyday life stuff that distracts me. Probably my favorite place or thing to do is to go to some restaurant and sit and journal, but it's kind of, or a coffee shop or something like that, but it's kind of hard to find a place that you don't feel like you're loitering or staying longer than the staff, the employees want you to. Sometimes I just do it anyway. I just like turn off my worry chip and sit there. But if they actually have like a no loitering policy of some sort, like a lot of the fast food places do, then you can't just sit there in peace. And then there's the library. I sometimes go to a library, but I don't know, that's kind of boring sometimes. But that's probably the place with the least distractions. Then there's nature. Out here, I can journal for a while, but then I tend to want to just sit there and look at the scenery instead. One observation I'm having, which is kind of interesting. If you fix your eyes on a certain point where there's ripples in the water that's reflecting something with a hard line on it, like a tree, you can actually see kind of the same ripples happening over and over again. Like even though the tree might be shaped like this, in the reflection, it's that same general shape. Because probably the river is being affected by the same variables. There is some randomness to it, but like there's rocks under the water, the shape of the bank, it probably produces some of the same patterns over and over again. But it is weird to see that weird lightning distorted shape of the reflection, and it's kind of saying the same shape, even though all these ripples are going by. It's strange. There is obviously a variance to it, but it has like a weird wavy arc in it. That same arc is kind of in the same general position each time for each wave. It's interesting. Another thing I've thought I could do for live streaming is juggling. I thought it'd be kind of fun to always have my soccer ball with me, and if I find a flat area of ground I could juggle out in nature, because I have been juggling recently. I decided that that's one activity that might make me feel a little bit less old. It uses coordination and balance and stuff that just keeps me moving in ways that, you know, a lot of old people can't do anymore, but I can because I've kept up with things like that. I don't know, sports in general I think is pretty good for that kind of stuff, to stay coordinated and have your muscles adapting to different scenarios. Like walking and biking is good too, but you're not really changing your posture and adapting to different positions and stuff as much. Whereas if you're like jumping around or trying to catch a ball or running back and forth or dodging people or whatever, all the stuff that sports involves, I feel like it gives you a little bit of youthful energy that you might lose otherwise. I actually changed my soccer juggling. Rather, I changed the database so that it stores GPS coordinates if I choose to record them. So a couple days ago I was walking in a circle around. In the years past, that's been one of my favorite things to do, is walking around a path of some sort, because it forces me to be even more coordinated. Because when you're just juggling in place, you can make mistakes and whatever, it's fine. But if you're trying to walk a particular path, then it takes a lot more concentration and skill to keep it going. And so I thought, oh, it'd be kind of fun to actually record the GPS track also, and then I could plot the points of my juggling on that map and see where I went and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of pointless, but I could, for example, I could track how many times I walked around the fountain before I dropped the ball, kind of a thing. So I actually have that information from that outing a couple days ago, but I haven't written a script to process it or do anything with it. But I have the data recorded. I also have quite a few places on, or like key waypoints and whatever spots on the map that I've marked that either they were really scenic and looked cool, or I did a speed test and there was adequate cell signal, so I could go back to some of those and do live streams or whatever. Because now that I'm done with the Bible reading thing, I don't need those spots, because I was sort of marking those places in order to have more options to just head out. Like, say I want to go out and do a Bible reading, but I don't know where to go. I could just look at my map and say, oh, there's a spot that I have marked, I'll just go there. But now that I'm done with that project, I don't really have a specific purpose for those map positions. But I still could live stream there if I wanted to. This was one of those spots that I had marked, kind of. Forgot I had this down there. Not sure how well it picked up talking stuff. Not that it matters. Let's see, it's weird. It's only 6:30, but it looks like it's like 8:30. The sun is kind of down behind the trees, and it looks kind of like golden hour and close to evening or sunset or whatever. But I know it's way too early for the time change, so it's gotta be just atmospheric effects or something. It feels like there should be like 2.5 hours more worth of daytime based on what I've been experiencing lately. I don't know, it's probably just where I'm at, where the shadows fall. Probably if I walk back up onto the road or trail or whatever, it might not look this way. It's just kind of weird. Feels like it's about to get dark or something. I should have at least 2 hours, even up to almost 3 hours before it gets really dark. But I did write a little bit. That's probably all I'm gonna write. So I think I'll probably head up, maybe get a little bit more riding in. I'm not riding my bike. So I think I'll end the stream. Oops, missed a couple of these. Yeah, one of the things I like about these kind of streams is there's no reason to do any kind of editing. They are what they are. Nobody's going to watch these on my channel after they've happened, obviously, but I don't have to like go home and work on anything to get them uploaded or do anything. They're just a live stream. It just happens. If you were there, you were there. If you weren't, probably won't ever see it, but I don't know. I kind of like that. I don't have to like fill my hard drive with a bunch of recordings. Like, now that I'm done with the Bible reading project, I probably won't download a bunch of streams and, maybe if some exceptional thing happens, I might, but generally I probably won't. They'll just be on my channel and live there as long as YouTube and Rumble and Odyssey still exist, and then they'll someday disappear. But I don't know, there's something relaxing and freeing about that kind of technology. You don't have to like waste a bunch of time after the event or experience happened dealing with stupid stuff. I don't like editing, so I prefer not to upload edited videos. That's why even like my Bible readings that weren't live, I still just uploaded them unedited because I just don't edit stuff. So they're super long and boring, but I don't care. Because like I said a billion times, I'm not trying to make engaging content or build a successful channel or whatever, stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know if I'll do more of this or not. It probably will happen just kind of randomly here and there, but I'm certainly not going to try to stream every day or something. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow or something, like who knows, but I'm not going to just keep doing it constantly. At least I don't think so. Mainly because I don't really see myself doing a lot of sitting in places like this. There's occasions when I feel like doing writing and stuff. Like lately I've been wanting to catch up on my journal because there's some big topics I wanted to write about that I was behind on. So that's why I did it yesterday and today and stuff. But generally speaking, I don't just sit by rivers or sit on top of mountains or whatever. I go somewhere and then I keep on moving. I like to hike, explore, but I don't really sit down in one place for extended periods of time. Typically, I'd rather keep moving and explore more area. And when I'm doing that, there's far less chance that there's going to be a reliable cell signal for live streams. So I don't really suspect I'll do a ton of live streams unless I'm in the mood to sit in one place like this where I find a signal. But there is a chance I might do that juggling thing a little bit here and there if I find some good places to do it. That's one of those things I would love to build a community around, but it's hard to... You have to be inclusive and inviting, but that also means you might gather people around you that you don't enjoy as much. Like, for example, if I went to a random city park or something like that and started juggling, and maybe some people would join me and say, hey, I want to join you, and that would be fun. But if they're like annoying, then it would be not as fun. But interestingly enough, I have done that quite a bit over the years, where I just go to a park and juggle, and it's pretty rare, almost never, that somebody joins me. Ironically, I think the people that are more likely to join are the ones that might have some character traits that make them a little bit less enjoyable to be around. I don't know. It's kind of weird how it works that way, but yeah, I kind of wish I had people to juggle with though, or pepper with. Like, sort of got back into volleyball a little bit, and it'd be fun to have friends that I could just go practice with and stuff, just hang out. But once again, it's hard to find people like that either people that want to do that or people that, like, they probably think I'm the weird one, like I'm talking about people that I maybe wouldn't be as interested in hanging out with. Maybe that I'm probably that person to them, to most people. So it's complicated. I wish everything was just easier. It's hard to make connections. But I think I'm going to head out for now, and I have no idea when the next time I'll do this will be. I've also considered getting back into some bookbinding streams, because I have my craft table taking up a bunch of space in my living area, and I'm not using it at all. And I have a bunch of paper and supplies and stuff. I could make 1 billion books, and I have I think over 100, 130 maybe books that are partially done, so I could finish them. But I think I would feel more free to pursue the things that I enjoy and hobbies and stuff if I had a source of income. Because lately, the reason I haven't been doing some of that stuff is because if I have any free time, really I should be trying to produce some kind of income for myself. And so I've been working on trying to get customers for the business, sending out postcards and stuff, but that's not been very effective at all. So I'm wondering if eventually I might have to just set that aside and get some random job or something. I don't really know what's going to happen, but anyway, if I got enough income, then I would, whatever free time I have, I would, like, I can use it however I want, and I would probably do more hobby stuff again. Because it's like, okay, I put my hours in, I've made enough money to survive. Now I can do things that I enjoy without feeling guilty, kind of a thing. You know what I mean? But since I've been struggling to find income, it's been sort of a struggle to feel free to do hobbies and stuff also. Wow, I really smell the fish smell. There must be... I don't know if the river just smells that way, or this is an area where people like do fishing and gut the fish and stuff. I don't really know. I feel like it's a little bit more fishy than maybe it would be naturally. I don't know. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna get going. It's already almost 7 now, so that doesn't leave a whole lot of time to explore. I'm gonna head out. I'll catch you later sometime. I don't know when.